Own the Road with Kelly and Bob is brought to you by Mueller Metal Roofs and Buildings. Made in America, made to last. Coming up on this episode.
And I've had people, you should sell, you just make so much money. I go, it's not about the money. This is social for me. I would have to hire a therapist. I would have to go to a gym. I would have to...
Hi, we're Kelly
and Bob Phillips, and we're on the perpetual road trip of America's back roads,
where the journey is always the destination.
Hi, and thanks for joining us for this episode of On the Road with Kelly and Bob. I'm Bob Phillips.
And I'm Kelly Phillips. Okay, I've said it many times before, but it's so true that I don't feel bad saying it again. Some of my favorite stories are just the ones that we happen upon.
Oh, I agree with that. Remember the time we were with our good friend Brian Hawkins down in Corpus Christi, Texas, and a story we'd planned for the next morning. That evening, for some reason, fell through, so we just got up at 3 a.m. and went unannounced to the local Legacy Donut shop there in Corpus and asked them if we could tell their story.
Yeah, and they didn't shoot or anything.
Even in the middle of the night.
Yeah, even in the middle of the night. They let us in. Another one of my favorite stories. And though it wasn't quite like that, just the other day, we were traveling in Utah and we stopped at a local restaurant for lunch. The next thing you know, we had the recording equipment out and we were producing a story on Lisa's Country Kitchen.
I grew up in Kemmer, Wyoming, an Italian family, so food was a big portion of our life. Every Sunday, get together, food, grandma and grandpa lived together, mom and dad, they all lived in the same house. My dad owned a restaurant in Kemmer, Wyoming as well. So between the Italians all getting together and talking and making food, then we worked in my dad's restaurant as a family. I worked all the way up until I was 17, and then I left, went to college, got married, and missed the restaurant business. All my family started passing away, and I missed that social gathering at the table where you cook and you argue and you talk about politics and all the fun stuff. And I'm like, God, I just grew up in such a great time, in the 60s. I'm like, I just want to open my own restaurant.
We were in the little town of Nephi, Utah, in a nice local restaurant having lunch, something we do all the time when we travel, of course. But we don't usually end up telling the story of the place where we have lunch.
This time we really couldn't resist, especially when I asked our waitress about the picture of a baby on the front of the menu. She said, "You see that lady back there in the kitchen cooking your meal? That's her, and she's the owner."
We knew right then there was a story behind this place.
Fast food places come in, big franchises, and I've always just said, I'll just stick to the old-fashioned. From my table to your table, and let's visit and talk, and I've just stuck with that.
You tell your story right there on the front of the menu.
Yeah.
And there's a picture. Who's in that picture?
So that's my mom and dad, and then me as a baby in my dad's
That
restaurant.
baby on the picture on the front of your menu is you, Lisa.
Me. That's when I started the restaurant business. That's what I tell her when they're like, how long have you been in a restaurant business? I said, see that picture right there? I think I was a year old. I lived in Salt Lake at the time, couldn't afford anything in Salt Lake, and Nephi was close enough to Salt Lake, close enough to Wyoming to see the rest of my family that was still left there. And I got into a building for hardly nothing to rent. Mom and Dad had all the equipment from their restaurant and they had retired. I grabbed my mom and Dad's recipes, and they were still alive at the time, and they actually came down.
You made them come down and help you.
I did.
Most people open a business as a way to make a living. Lisa King opened her restaurant as a way to live. This place is her life, a way to keep the fond memories of her childhood alive, a way to stay close to those who matter most.
To Lisa, it's all about family. Whether it's the mom and dad and brothers and sisters and cousins and aunts and uncles she grew up with, or her employees and now even her customers. To Lisa, this place is all about quality of life, about sharing food and stories and, well, memories.
All of it is based from my mom and dad's menu. Also, for a business part of it, I tried to yield it just like your grandma did in the kitchen. So if you have leftovers, then you're like, well, okay, I've got some hamburger left, so I'm gonna make hamburger soup tomorrow. If I've got baked potatoes, I get all my baked potatoes that I don't sell, we save, and then I call it a two-baked potato, where it's bacon and sour cream and cheese, and it's just garlic, and that's where it becomes almost like your grandma's kitchen, right?
Because that's what grandma did.
That's what grandma, you know, you're watching her cook and you're talking, and she's talking about how she grew up. No Facebook, no on the phone, you're just talking to grandma. And that's what I try.
Actual people talking to people, huh?
Yeah.
Does that happen a lot out here?
Yes. My counter used to be just full of people. And you would never think of opening a restaurant without a counter. And I tell the young kids today, the counter was our Facebook. This counter was our Facebook. All the farmers, all the travelers would come in, and we would sit at the counter and we would meet other people, talk about the traffic, but that was our Facebook, right? But nowadays it's changed. It's so sad. I sit and I watch people and they're on their phones. They come in, they ask for the internet. And I'm like, well, what do you need to know? And they're like,
is it that important?
If it's anything about Nephi or anything, I could tell you. I pretty well tell you. I've been here all day. This is my kitchen. Oh yeah, this is my right hand, Regina. She does everything for me. She's my social worker on top of that. I get to vent her.
That's a big plus.
Yeah, it is. And then this is the soup that I made today.
What is this today?
So it's a beef noodle. And it's really good. And there's an apple pie in the oven.
For Lisa King, it's all about the food she serves and the way she serves it. From the moment you walk in the door, she wants you to feel like you're a guest in her kitchen, that she's doing all this just for you.
And in a way she is. But it's more than that. She's doing this to protect a way of life she loves so much, to keep those memories of family and friends from dying, to connect with her touchstone, those precious moments from the past that mean everything to Lisa.
Lisa King is a guardian of yesterday, a place where we felt loved and at home, and she's doing it with food made from scratch.
I'm closed on Thanksgiving, but it's open. So whoever wants to come in and eat, so last Thanksgiving, there's my grandkids running around, throwing balls and just having fun, and they're outside, and I don't put a sign on the door that we're closed. And people walk in, and I'm like, well, the restaurant itself's not open, but I have my family here, and you're welcome to eat with us.
You do that?
Yeah, so they sit down and I fix them a plate and we get to know them, and they go, Grandma, who's that? I said, oh, one of my customers.
I don't know.
I don't know.
They wandered in.
Yeah, and I said, I'm not open to the public, but if anybody stops in that they need, and so they get to meet all my family and they get to eat homemade food. Yeah, that's why I think I've been here 37 years. And 37 years later, here I am.
Now, you see why this is one of my favorite stories?
Absolutely.
Just think, what if we had not stopped in there to eat lunch that day?
You mean like if we just pulled through the drive-thru at a fast food place like we sometimes do? We would have missed out on meeting one very special person, not to mention an incredible meal.
Yeah, let's listen to the rest of our visit with Lisa King.
From the get-go, did you serve this kind of food?
Yes,
the kind
always.
of home cooking?
Yep, so the chili you taste is my mom's recipe. All the soups are my mom's. Homemade mashed potatoes. We peel our potatoes here. I grind my own beef here. It's all fresh. My family still owns a cattle ranch in Wyoming, so I buy all their cows and have them feed them out for me like I like, and then we process them, and I get all my beef from them. Yeah.
What is it about food?
It's social for me. So food for me is all personal. So from the recipes that I serve to people, can you taste the garlic? Can you taste that? See, oh, that was my mom's, that was my great-grandma's. It brings my family back to me. And for some reason, and I hear my dad, the same thing, your soup's too thick. Or I hear my mom, she's Italian, don't you put that in the soup, and don't you use that. So it brings back every day my childhood memories, just cooking food the right way. Most restaurants don't do that now. They've lost that. They've lost the personal touch. And I use other people's recipes. People will come in and they're like, oh, just try this, just try this. My Navajo taco on my menu was actually somebody that lived here in Nephi. They had a recipe for scone dough, and they were half Navajo.
Scone dough?
Scone dough. And they said, Lisa, just try this and put chili on it. And so my Navajo tacos is from a customer years ago that was half Navajo that brought in the scone dough. I've had people bring rhubarb in out of their gardens. Will you make me a rhubarb pie? Yeah, how do you want it? Brown sugar. It just
Had you
creates.
ever made one of those pies?
No, but pretty easy, once you know how to make a pie. That's,
Yeah.
you
figured it out.
It's the crust. The whole secret is that water that you put in your pie crust has to be chilled, and not iced over, but chilled enough. So,
Lisa,
if
we've
I
been trying to
did-
get somebody to tell us the secret to pie
It's for
crust for years, and
That's
you're
the
the first
secret.
one
Yeah.
who willingly told it.
Yeah, it says, 2 tablespoons of water. It always says chilled, but people don't realize it means not just cold out of the faucet. Put it in the freezer, and you have to keep an eye on it so it forms those crystals. Food was a gathering. Food's very personal. And people don't understand that. That's where I think fast food, it's not personal anymore. People go through a drive-up, order McDonald's, give me number 4. What is that about? I said to him one day. I said, what is a number 4? What does that mean to you? I don't know. And I'm like, oh my gosh, are you kidding? I said, when I look at what people order, that's why I still like to cook, because I like to cook for my customers. I have cooks, but I'm here 9 hours cooking. I cooked your food for you.
And it was excellent.
And it was
It really was.
incredible. And
yeah.
but we just came in here to eat lunch.
We
didn't
did.
know you or
And
about this place.
I have
Yeah.
to say that the person that we were interviewing prior, we asked him, okay, if you
He
could give
recommended
us
this.
a recommendation, and he went, you've got to go to Lisa's.
Oh, how, see,
Hands
now
down.
for me, that's what it's about. So personal that people can remember me by my food, and it just becomes very, very personal. And and there's some people that don't like it, and I go out and talk to them. What can I do to change that? Next time you come in, let's try this, or let me try to do this. It becomes very personal. Then all of a sudden, you're part of that. You're part of their family, and that's why I haven't franchised. There's another thing. I've had the opportunity to franchise, and it's never, yes, I love to pay my bills, but it's not about franchising and becoming one of those Olive Gardens or one of those Texas Roadhouses. It's personal. Someone asked me, well, what soup do you have? What soup are you going to have tomorrow? And I'm like, well, it just depends on what leftovers I have today.
Exactly. So
It's personal.
Our waitress
Personal.
is bringing our lunch, and one of us said, "Are you Lisa?" And she goes, "No." And she pointed through the window into the kitchen and said, "That's Lisa."
Yeah.
And I said,
Are you
"In the
kidding?"
kitchen? She's cooking?" Okay, Lisa, I hate to tell you this because I may be telling something you haven't ever heard before, but most restaurant owners don't cook anymore.
I know. Most restaurant owners are business owners. They're not cooks. That's why they hire cooks. That's why they hire chefs.
Tell us about your employees. Who are
So they are, believe it or not, most all my employees started with me when they were 14, 15 years old. So I have so many employees that are famous singers, lawyers, doctors. I'm unbelievable. I can go through and go. I mean, it's just unbelievable how far that my employees have gone. Then I have my employees that just stay with me. I have an employee that is a manager of a bank and she still works on Saturdays. I have an employee that is a school teacher right now and she works in the summers. I have my cook, Tyson, he's been with me 26 years. I have a waitress 27 years. They start as high school children and they go on and they might find a career that they like. They might want to come back to Nephi and work another 1 or 2 days a week here. So it's really, I don't have a lot of turnover.
You must be doing something right.
Well, I think what I do is I remember how it was working for somebody else when I was in college. And it was very hard. I remember that. And so what I try to do all these years is this job is very important. It's your first job. And most restaurants are young children, right? It's their very first job. But there's a balance. You still want to enjoy school. You still want to enjoy homecoming. There's a really good balance. And so I'm going to work you 2 or 3 nights a week, as long as your grades are up. And we're going to work around your activities, whether it's church, volleyball, baseball, whatever it is. Because that's what really is the most important is family, right?
Absolutely.
And so I keep that in mind when I do the schedule and then somebody comes to me like, oh, I forgot it. I got asked for homecoming and I didn't think I did. And I said, we'll make it work. We'll make it happen. And even if I stay and work, which I do most of the time. So I'm like, I'll just work it for you.
But I don't think you mind, do you?
No. Jason, my son, said, Mom, when are you going to retire? You can retire. And I'm like, who's going to teach my grandkids how to work?
You want them to have that same experience
Absolutely.
you did.
So that's what they do. So from the time they come down in the summer, they waitress, they bus tables. Dylan, she's 11, she likes to cook. So I have her showing her how to make biscuits and how to make pies and gravies. And then I have Hendrix that's very social like me. He wants to be out, busybody, talking to everybody. We work together.
You wouldn't really consider retiring, would you?
No, and I'm 65.
So is a number.
Yeah.
It is.
What would you do?
I don't know, but so much this year especially, people really just, they're like, you have to retire. You have to retire. And I'm like, well, so.
That's because they don't enjoy their work as much as you enjoy yours. Don't listen to
Oh, I don't. No, I don't. And I've had people, because they're like, you should sell. You just make so much money. I go, it's not about the money. I said, this is social for me. I would have to hire a therapist. I would have to go to a gym. I would have to hire.
Somebody'd have to cook for you.
That's right. I'd have to hire people just to come in so I could talk to them.
Tell us about the menu.
The most popular is my country fried steaks. And it's a cube steak. We grind our own hamburger here. I bread it in the same recipe that my mom and dad breaded theirs. And we cook them to order. We don't throw them in the deep fryer.
You pan fry
your
steak.
So I have fish today. I cut the halibut up this morning, fresh, made my batter, and as an order comes in, fish and chips, we take the fish, put it in the batter.
It's not sitting under a warmer.
No, it's all to order.
I think I want to eat again.
I crack a fresh egg for breakfast. So most restaurants have gone to powdered eggs because they're cheaper, number one,
and
nowadays,
easy,
and easy. And I still, when eggs come, my eggs are all cracked. They're regular egg.
And I can tell you from my experience here today, you've got the best BLT I've ever put in my mouth.
You don't chinch on the bacon.
No,
Well,
that was
and
big.
yeah, well, and the thing is too, and when I'm cooking, and I train my cooks to do this, it's like when you want a BLT, you want to taste the BLT, not just a piece of bread and lettuce and mayonnaise.
Bingo.
Right? And you want your bacon cooked fresh. Who wants bacon that has been sitting for
No.
2 or 3 days?
No.
So you get a BLT. It might take a little bit longer because I'm cooking the bacon on the grill for you. But you want to taste, and you want to taste a BLT. If you have to raise your price $1, raise your price $1. People will pay it to get a nice big slice of tomato and bacon, right? Isn't that what a BLT's all about?
Tell me about those house-made chips.
So what they are is they're like potato chips, but we have a machine that we put our potatoes through, and it slices them like a chip.
Because it was like a ruffle,
Yeah.
but it was, you had just made them when they came
They
to
were
our
warm.
Yeah, they're to order too. All my potatoes are real here. You won't find a fake potato, not even French fry, not even a mash. I just got done making 2 great big pans of mashed potatoes.
All right, we have to talk about dessert. It's
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
what are
mandatory we talk about dessert.
So the most dessert that I sell by far is just a plain old apple pie, peach pie, and all these other fancy, carrot cake and strawberry cheesecake, and I've tried them all, and I still make them, but by far the most desserts I sell is still just good old-fashioned piece of apple pie heated with ice cream.
with that homemade crust.
Yeah, and my ice cream is the hard ice cream. It's not the soft. It's
Real ice cream.
Real ice cream. These are real potatoes that I use. yeah, real potatoes we use here.
Potatoes, right here. These are going to become your French fries,
Our mashed potatoes.
your house-made chips.
Yeah, everything.
Right here.
Yeah.
Wow.
So-
From Idaho. of course.
As you can see, this is my dry storage. So most restaurants, this would be filled with already canned food.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be huge. So you can see that most of my stuff are spices.
Right. Because you're making this stuff
here
from
to there,
scratch.
because we're making it from scratch.
Wow.
Yeah. And our salads are made fresh too. So if you order a chicken salad, we actually grilled or fried, we actually cook the chicken then to order.
Wow.
We don't have it sitting in a pan. But yeah, most people when you order a salad, it's already done.
Yeah, they pull
order
it out of the refrigerator.
See, I cook my roast here as well. So my French dips, my hot beefs are all real roast. I don't cater,
You
I
don't
do
cater.
banquets.
Banquets.
So yeah, I just don't, there's not enough of me.
Because you would want to be there.
Yeah, and I always tell them that. They're like, Lisa, can you cater it? I said, I just don't, but you're welcome to come into my banquet room and I'll make you dinner, and we'll have it all ready for you. But yeah, you lose when, I realized if I started catering or I started doing a food truck, which a lot of restaurants have, I lose that personal touch. So I've marketed myself with my restaurant, and I had my financial advisor. He said, "Oh, Lisa, you've done the wrong thing. You'll never be able to sell because they come here because of Lisa. And if you sell, Lisa's not here." And I said, "Well, I created this restaurant never to sell. Maybe that's the difference." I said, "I always have a building to sell, right? Or property to sell, but I said I didn't create my restaurant ever for me to sell." So I think that answered his question. He's never said anything else to
And
me.
you didn't make your restaurant so your son could come in and take over.
I would have, but he wanted to be an architect. And he's an architect, and he owns his own business in Salt Lake, and so that's what he does for a living.
You're doing your dream.
Yeah,
he's doing his.
dream. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sometimes I think he makes a lot more money than I do. But you know what? It's not about the money. And I told him that one day. He goes, "Mom, you just work so hard." I go, "But I'd be at a gym working, or I'd be
You're
it's the
happy,
same."
right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what it's really about?
Yeah, absolutely. And I see his face, when he creates this big, beautiful house in Park City, and he designs golf courses and all that. And I see his face too. I said, "Jason, you do the same thing I do, just different."
Everybody's got their passion.
Everybody has
hopefully.
their passion. Yeah.
Tell us about your customers. Who are they?
So it goes back, because I've been here so long. My customers started with Nephi. And that was only one exit, not very many people on I-15.
And we're about how far south of Salt Lake City?
82 miles.
82 miles.
So it started really with Nephi customers, Nephi farmers, a few tourists, not very many that would come through town. They'd go around on the freeway. That's how it started. Now most of my business is return customers and tourists that come in. The farmers, unfortunately, are selling their ground. Their kids don't want to farm anymore. Everyone's the good old boys, most of them have passed away. And so now most of my customers are freeway and motel, and we have big events now in Nephi with ball tournaments and all the other stuff they bring in, just like the cities are starting, that they do. And so, but what's fun about that is I'm meeting all these new people. Like I had someone call me today, and they live all the way in Ogden, and they're like, "What's on special today? We're going to drive down there to eat."
They're driving from Ogden to come to Lisa's.
Yeah. And I said, "Well, I got my fish on Fridays." They're like, "Oh, when's your country fried steak?" And then, of course, being Lisa, I said, "You know what? Whatever day you make it down here, I'll make you a special country fried steak." So I said, just whatever day you make it down here, I'm usually here every day. You just tell them when you walk in, and I'll give you the special deal. And I've had to learn to adapt, but it's just like I said, changing. Like the Uber, I don't like somebody delivering my food. See, my food's never been about fast. My food's never been about put your order in a hurry, get your food. It's been social, just very social for me.
And quality.
And yeah. And yeah, you don't get that, someone's calling in an order and they want Uber to deliver it. And I'm like, yeah, but then you don't get to meet me, and you don't get to see the restaurant. You don't get to, and so I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do Uber. So I don't even do Uber. Everything in this restaurant was being given to me by customers over 37 years.
Oh my gosh, look at all this.
37 years. I have some of my mom and dad's stuff still. That Orange Crush is my mom and dad's from their restaurant. And that's why it's such a collection. This gentleman here was a highway patrolman, and he had that frame. That picture was mine. He had an old barn. He retired from being a highway patrolman and had that frame made for me. The picture was from another customer that he said, "Lisa, you got to put this in your restaurant. I'm going to take this picture of Nebo," and that's Nebo from Mona. Anyway, so these pictures are from Ducks Unlimited, another customer that they come in, and I've had banquets and stuff, and he's gave me, I can name everything that it's just, honestly, it's a collection of all customers and family. There's not one thing that was ever designed.
You didn't
You didn't have to buy it. I didn't go to the store, and buy it.
Didn't have an interior designer come in here.
In fact, when you go out, you'll have to see this picture, and they're in their 40s now, but they actually drew that picture for me. They come in to see me. They live in Nephi. I'll show you when we go out of the building. And I love to ski, of course, being from Wyoming, and I was skiing that day. And so they were sitting, and they had a piece of paper waiting for their food, and they drew these stick figures with skis, and I framed it and put it on my wall. And that was when they were little boys. Now they're grown men, and they bring their kids in. They're like, Daddy drew that for Lisa right there. Yeah, you'll see it's all customers, employees.
Okay, so your parents had a restaurant the whole time you're growing up.
Yeah.
They come and help you get started
Yes.
with this restaurant
Yes.
37 years ago. What did they think once you were up and running and they saw what you were doing?
Do you know what? So they never did see this. I know. They never did see this. So I was renting a building across the street, and it was Lisa's Country Kitchen, and it was just small, more counter space than booths. And I always told him, I looked across the street and there was this old motel sitting here, and I told my dad, I said, I'm going to buy that one day. And buy that, and I'm going to tear that motel down, and I'm going to build me a nice big restaurant. And my dad, he'd shake his head, okay, that's a nice dream. That's a nice dream to have. And I said, and he said, you just keep working hard. I said, I'm going to, Dad, I'm going to. But they both passed away before they could see this. So, but I fill them here. I still use a couple of my mom's pans, and I wash them. I don't let nobody else wash them. I still have her spatula that she used. So there's a lot of things that I still have here.
And they're still talking to
Oh,
you.
absolutely, yeah. Even when I make the soup too runny. You have to do something that you love. And then it becomes your passion. You enjoy it. Yeah, you're gonna have your ups and downs, but you're happy. Your soul is happy because you're doing something that you enjoy. People that are forced to do something, like if I could never be a secretary, I could never be a doctor. I could never sit in front of a computer. I would be so unhappy because I like to be out talking social. So no matter, even if you don't own your own business, do something that you love. If it's working with kids, if it's working with animals, if it's owning a ranch, whatever, if it's just being a waitress, just do something that really fills your soul, that you like. And that's what I always tell people. And then that's what makes you happy. And that's what makes you stay young and healthy.
Happy like you?
Yeah.
Because you're happy, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm very, that's the first thing people say to me, wherever I go. And they say it to Jason, your mom's always so happy. And Jason's like, I know. She's always been like that. It's like she's always been that way. Get up and be happy.
What a blessing.
Yes, very, very. I think, too, going back to growing up around food and listening to the hardships of the war and back what my family went through, to be an American, so proud that they were here, and just sitting and listening to that as well, it makes you realize that how important it is just to get up every day and try to do something good. Try to do something good. Try to make somebody feel good, because it could all change real fast. And so I think that that's where people have lost that connection. It's it goes back really the experience. I want them to come in, I want them to feel like they're in Grandma's kitchen. That's honestly, that's all it is. I just want them, and I try to treat my employees like that, so they'll treat the customers like that. And I mean, it works. It just.
And how does that make you feel?
It makes me worth so much money. Worth so much money. People don't realize that. It's like, that's what my retirement is. When I look back through the years, I'm like, it's not about how much money I can make selling or how much money I made. My retirement, how many lives I touched, and how many people that can sit at their kitchen table and say, you know, my first boss, Lisa, let me tell you what she's about. That's what it is.
This feeds your soul, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Yeah. I just think that when I leave here, when it's my time, I just, for one thing, I always tell people, because I'm loud, I always say on my headstone, I want, he's gonna hear her before he sees her, because he gave me this voice. And then the next thing, when I meet my Savior, the next thing he's gonna say, well done. Well done. And that's all.
Every time I listen to our conversation with Lisa, I can't help but smile. She's an incredible woman holding on to something so many of us grew up with: family, real conversation, and genuine face-to-face connection. A big thank you to our sponsor, Mueller, who allows us to go out on the road and meet these incredible people and be able to tell their stories so you can listen to them. Also, a thank you to Odyssey for letting us have this platform to tell these stories. Did you know, On the Road with Kelly and Bob, we've got a Facebook page and an Instagram page. Be sure and like it. Also, follow our YouTube channel where you can see some behind the scenes footage. Listen to On the Road with Kelly and Bob wherever you get your podcast, or just download that free Odyssey app. Listen anytime, anywhere.